It's time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout, and this time around we'll be talking with Peter Brooks, who is the media relations guy with the Iowa Cubs. Had a very enjoyable conversation with Peter at Principal Park this afternoon, and he has quite a history in baseball. He's played baseball himself. He's a real fan of the game, and he talks about the Iowa Cubs season so far, the season up ahead, some of the players that he's met, and the chances for the big league club, the Chicago Cubs, going to the World Series this year, and his family's history of baseball broadcasting. But first, a word from our sponsors, including Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. And before you hit the open road this summer, make your first stop Ryan's Tire and Auto. Whether you're road tripping to the lake, heading to the ball game, or just escaping the daily grind, they're here to make sure your vehicle is ready for every mile. From tire checks to oil changes, they've got your back during travel season. Swing by Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue, Newton, and get your car ready for this summer travel season. Also sponsored by Newton Clinic. Feeling under the weather or dealing with something unexpected? Newton Clinic offers same-day appointments to help you get back on track fast. Call or text 641-792-2112 to schedule your appointment today at Newton Clinic. And also sponsored by Advantage Credit Union, with your financial advantage.
Good grades bring accolades. It's report card time again, and Advantage Credit Union is ready to reward your student for their scholastic efforts. Students K through 8 can earn up to $20 per semester by bringing their report card into Advantage Credit Union. We have a PhD in report card history and financial mathematics, so we'll reward your student for doing well in school. Simply be a member of Advantage Credit Union or open up an account for your child or grandchild with a $25 deposit, and we'll take care of the rest.
See Credit Union for details. Member NCUA.
Time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and we're talking with Peter Brooks, who is in charge of media relations for the Iowa Cubs, and I'm excited to be sitting in the press box for the Iowa Cubs, looking out on the field, and it looks like it's raring and ready to go. We've had some rain this morning, but it's going to be hot for the weekend. And well, Peter, let's talk about a big promotion you have coming up tomorrow. I know a couple of people from WHO Radio are going to be on hand. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have the Barbecue and Brew event. It's just an event that happens in our parking lot, and it's just an opportunity to have a lot of barbecue and sample some beer.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, and I know Jeff Angelo and Dwayne Murley will be judges for that tomorrow. This is being recorded on Friday. If you hear it on Saturday, come on out to the ballpark. What time does that game get underway, Peter?
The Barbecue and Brew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go from 12 to 4.
Okay.
So good time to just try all the food and drink all the beer.
Sounds like fun. Okay, now I want to talk to you first of all about your family tradition. And it isn't the Hank Williams type of family tradition. This is a broadcasting tradition that you have, or in your case, I guess we could say media tradition, but it goes way back, and your grandfather is a legendary Bob Brooks, who did Iowa Hawkeye play-by-play for a number of years. What can you tell me about Bob Brooks, your grandfather? Can you tell me some stories about him?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people always have the stories to tell me. You know, the funny thing is, when I was growing up, I told this a lot. So when I was growing up, I didn't know I couldn't really put it together that he was the kind of the famous broadcaster that he was, or the Eastern Iowa kind of broadcasting icon. I just didn't know. And so, but people would always tell me all the stories about him. And that's when I kind of, as I got older, kind of started to figure out, oh, he's a pretty big deal. And I always think that's a funny thing that I have.
Probably just to you, he was Grandpa.
Yeah, just to me, he was Grandpa Bob. And a lot of our people, I was always confused when I was little. Like, people would tell me stories, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then as I kind of grew up, I kind of realized, oh, he's a bigger deal than maybe he's led on to me.
Did you ever visit him in the press box when he was doing play-by-play, or did he ever tell you about any of the players that he met?
When I was younger, yeah. Mm-hmm. But for me, might sound a little weird, but for me, it was just kind of normal to head up in the press box and just be there while he's calling a game, or I was with him a lot when he'd call some Colonels games, or he was on the board for the Colonels, and so he'd have a certain access there. And to me, it was just normal growing up to always be at the Veterans Memorial in Cedar Rapids.
You know, Peter, I was very blessed because as a kid, I always knew I wanted to be in radio. And we had tickets to the Hawkeye games, and we would sit across from the press box at the stadium, and I would see the radio station banners up there, and I'd see WHO and KGRN, and I'd see K-Hawk, and all the radio stations. And I had a friend, and his name was Jim Ankeny, and his father was one of those Iron Men that played for Iowa way back in the day. And so because of that, he got to sit up in the press box, and I was so jealous of him being up there back in the day, and I thought, how cool is that? And eventually I did get to sit up in the press box when I got some credentials back several years ago, and that was fantastic. But for you, it was just a common occurrence. It was just kind of a normal thing because your dad was, or your grandpa was Bob Brooks, and your dad carries on the family tradition, Rob Brooks, and
correct.
And he does the Iowa women play-by-play, and he does sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes too, and that must be a thrill also.
Yeah, I know when around the time he started, that's when, shortly after, I believe, that's when Caitlin Clark was coming in for the women's basketball team. So I think that's obviously a fun player to have with you. And now you're getting all that coverage. So I know he's done a couple hits about Caitlin Clark coming in, just how special it is to have that kind of once in a generation type player come in. So I know he enjoys that a lot. And he's been doing Iowa football for a really long time. I don't know how many years, but over 20 years.
I know it's been a long time. Did he see the potential in Caitlin Clark? Did he see what she was going to become? Because a lot of people are saying she's the Michael Jordan of women's basketball.
Yeah, I think you can obviously tell there's a player there, but I think it's tough to say that anyone will become what she's actually become, just because I think it'd be unfair to put any sort of that kind of expectations on any sort of player. Like when LeBron James coming out of the draft, did anyone think he's going to be LeBron James? Or like you mentioned, Michael Jordan. When he comes out of the draft, is he really going to be Michael Jordan? Just like when Caitlin Clark set foot on campus in Iowa City. Like, is she actually going to be this big? But, I mean, she's surpassed every expectations I think you could ever set.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, she was getting beat up on the other night. And I've heard 2 points of view. Don't mess with her. Don't make any special exceptions for her. Or crack down on the referees, make them do a better job. I don't know what's going to become of all that. Some people are not happy about it because she is Caitlin Clark and she's from Des Moines, and we'll see how it all plays out. But it just sounds like the WNBA is rough and tumble these days, so who knows what's going to happen. I want to ask you about your job. You're in charge of what? Media relations, right?
Yeah. Correct.
And what all does that entail, Peter?
Well, it's a lot of different things every day. I coordinate interviews for the team, hold media in town. I work a lot with them. Write the game notes every day. All the press releases come from me. Manage an intern and just work with our broadcast team to make sure everything's running smoothly. Any roster transition goes through me.
Now, do you aspire to do play-by-play just like your grandfather and your dad?
No.
Not at all?
So that's kind of ended at me after my grandfather.
Is that
and my
right?
dad. Yeah. I don't have much of a desire to do that. I think they have the voices for it. I don't think I do as much. But
wait, you have a beautiful voice.
Well, thank you. But with them, I think growing up around it, I also see how difficult it is. And it's just not something that has really appealed to me. I think being more in the spot I'm in now has been better for me. I'll leave the play-by-play to them.
You like working with the media, but not necessarily being in the media.
Correct. I mean, yeah, it's just never appealed to me. And again, just with even working with our broadcaster here, Jason Kemp, and seeing how he goes about his business, or Alex Cohen from last year, and my dad and my grandfather, it's a very difficult thing.
And why baseball? Is that your thing? Is that your sport, or do you want to work with all sports, Peter?
Yeah, I've always been a baseball guy, so I'd like to stay in the baseball world. And when I was growing up, it was always baseball. What is it about baseball that fascinates you so much? That's a really good question. It's always been the game for me, and I'm not sure why. I know growing up, a lot of the people I was around were into football, basketball, especially growing up in Cedar Rapids. Iowa football is kind of the big thing, but yeah, I mean, I've always just been a baseball guy. Growing up in Cedar Rapids, were you a fan of the Colonels? Oh yeah, big time. My dad's still on the board. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. So, do you want to work in the major leagues? Do you aspire to do that at some point? Oh, I've had 3 seasonal spots in the major leagues. I was with the White Sox, the Orioles, and the Royals, and if an opportunity came across, yeah, I'd love to take it, but I'm really happy here, and I'm okay to be here for an extremely long time. I love being with the iCubs. Do you have a favorite team, Peter? The Iowa Cubs.
Yeah, okay, good answer. That's right. Well, tell us about the Iowa Cubs season so far. I know the big club has been successful.
Yeah, which that always makes it more fun when your big affiliate is making the kind of run the Cubs are making right now. And it's been a lot of fun to, especially, our opening day roster was filled with a lot of guys who are contributing to the Chicago Cubs right now, like, for example, Matt Shaw or Cade Horton. And it's a lot of fun to watch, the next crop of MLB superstars play at Principal Park. And, we've just have a prospect-filled team. Mm-hmm. And I think we have 7 of the top 30 prospects right here in Des Moines. And a lot of guys are playing well, hitting their stride now that it's getting close to July.
Where do these great players come from anyway? How are they found?
Well, it's all over the place. I think just Major League Baseball does a really good job with scouting. And, for example, Matt Shaw came from Maryland. Cade Horton came from the University of Oklahoma. So I guess, guys are all over the place. It can be Division I baseball, some junior college guys are at the NAIA level. So, good players are everywhere, and scouts find them.
How about pitching for the Iowa Cubs? How does that roster look like?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of movement on the pitching side, just with every minor league team. But when we started off, we had guys such as Chris Flexen. I mentioned Cade Horton, and those guys are making really good contributions to the major league team right now. And we have a lot of good relievers who have been up and down with contributing to the Cubs and also pitching for us. So, it's very fluid, but we have a really good staff.
And what about the rest of the season for the Iowa Cubs? Who's the big competition for the Cubs that they'll be playing as the season moves along?
The Iowa Cubs?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, I think the biggest competition right now, we're in Nashville right now, and they're in first place. Mm-hmm. So
although the Cubs did real well last night, from what I understand.
Yeah, we've been playing really well. We've been really consistent all year. There hasn't been too many stretches where we're losing a bunch of games. Mm-hmm. The team always seems to bounce back, and that's credit to our coaching staff and a lot of good players we have.
Well, that is fantastic. How about some promotions that you have coming up? I know you have the big promotion with the barbecue and brew coming up Saturday, tomorrow, but you have some other stuff on the way too.
Yeah, I always have to mention every Friday we have Friday night fireworks.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
It is a big deal. It really is.
Yeah,
and it's great, and you have a great view of the Iowa Capitol too from where we're sitting. It is fantastic. What else, Peter?
Yeah, I think that's the best promotion that we have. The Friday night fireworks is a staff favorite, and everyone loves that one. But also, speaking of fireworks, on July 3rd we have our kind of our holiday fireworks show, and there's a citizenship ceremony that takes place before the game, which is always a lot of fun. And then we do a big fireworks show after the game. We're heading right into the 4th of July, so it's a good place to celebrate that.
Now, if we're sitting up in the press box, and you have lots of boxes available. If people or businesses are interested in reserving one of these boxes for a ball game or promotions, or maybe Friday night fireworks game, something like that, how can they go about doing that?
Oh, that'd be easy. Just call the Iowa Cubs, and we'll see what we got for you.
Okay. And things have changed over the years here. I was talking to you when I came in. Back in the 80s, out in the outfield, where you can see the iowacubs.com, it was the Cub Club, but it's kind of changed around a little bit from what it was. Tell us about that, Peter.
Well, it's just kind of changed. I was always told it was a restaurant.
It was at one time. It was a big deal.
Yeah, now it's a place you can rent out, and you still have the good food back there. It's not so much of a restaurant anymore, but it's a place you can rent out where you can just have food and drink, and you have a fantastic view of the game. And we have a great staff in there who will set you up.
All right, fantastic. So you're loving working for the Iowa Cubs. This is fantastic. Who are some of the people here that you'd like to salute that you work with? I know that this makes a team effort to try to make everything go and work right night after night during the long baseball season, Peter.
I can salute every single person in this office. I think it starts at the top with Sam Burnaby, who's our general manager. And he's been here around 40 years. And he's a guy that I think everyone here looks up to, and we call him the chief, so he knows what's going on. Also, Randy Wayhofer is our assistant general manager. He used to be on the air, and that guy knows everything about minor league baseball, and he's fantastic at what he does. He works really hard, and he has an answer to every question, and he's really impressive as well.
Well, that's
fantastic. I could really shout out our whole staff. We have a staff of about 25 to 30 full-time people, and everyone really contributes and does their part.
How about Cubby Bear?
Cubby's a very big part of the office. He serves as entertainment, and we get a lot of requests for Cubby, so he's moving all over the place, and obviously, with him being a bear, it gets pretty hot in the summer.
Boy,
so.
it's going to be hot here the next few days.
Yeah, so he's going to be grinding that out.
And you have a grounds crew that does a great job, too. I'm looking out on the field, and it takes a lot of work to keep those.
And their attention to detail is fantastic, and they're definitely included in the front office shout-outs.
Fantastic. You have some great coaches also.
Yeah, of course. Marty P, our manager, he's been here for over a decade. So very often in minor league baseball, so it's really good to have some consistency.
Well, you said baseball is your thing. I'm just curious, what do you like best about baseball? What is it that fascinates you so much about the game, Peter?
So, I think it's the numbers. I think baseball can be a little bit more analytical than basketball or football, and that's something I really enjoy about it, even growing up.
It's like a thinking man's game?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. There's a lot of strategy involved, and I remember, and it's fun to watch how much the game has changed. When I was growing up, I always appreciated the stolen bases and, getting a bunt down and playing good defense, and pitching around guys. Now it's more about who's got the velocity, who's got the power, who can go gap to gap. But yeah, I really appreciate the analytical side of it.
I have a boss that's a real Cardinals fan, and he's old school, and he doesn't believe in the designated hitter rule, some of this stuff. How do you feel about those?
Oh, yeah, I like the designated hitter.
Do you?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, pitchers hitting, it's kind of a fun thing to watch, and some pitchers can really hit. But I like the designated hitter. I don't think there's any reason for pitchers to be hitting. And, I'm not a professional baseball player, but I don't know how much pitchers enjoyed hitting. It seems like they would just rather focus on pitching. And so I like the designated hitter, and I think it provides an opportunity where it's not just like. And also, when you get to the playoffs, or the World Series, rather, there's kind of an advantage for the National League team who prepares for a DH every day, rather than the American League team who hasn't prepared to have their pitcher hit.
So what do you see for the Chicago Cubs? Because early in the season, I can't remember whether it was Emery Songer or Jeff Angelo had a person on the air and said that Chicago Cubs were at least going to win their division and go even further. So what do you think? What's your prediction? Look into your crystal ball and tell me what you think.
I think their ceiling is a World Series.
Yeah?
When you look at the roster they have, and for example, Pete Crow Armstrong, he could be the MVP in the National League, and he was a guy who played a lot of games here in Des Moines. So it's been really fun to see what he's doing up there. He's incredible defensively, and his bat has really started to heat up, and he's shown the pop that he has shown here in Des Moines. And I think their ceiling is the World Series, and especially now when looking to get some pitchers back on their roster who have been injured. And yeah, I think the sky's the limit for them this year.
Isn't that cool to be able to see the Cubs, and if they go to the World Series and they win, people in Des Moines can say, "I knew them back when they were in Des Moines."
Yeah.
That's
the really fun part about it. It's like when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, and you look at the guys, the main core there. You got guys like Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, who spent a lot of time playing here in Des Moines. So that's kind of the part about it is, when the Major League team develops that core, you can kind of look back and, this guy played in Des Moines a couple years ago. I saw this guy play 10 games at Principal Park. So that's really the fun part about it. So, even seeing what the Cubs are doing now, and this is only my second year here with the iCubs, but being here and then looking at the guys who I've worked with and have played a lot here contribute to that Major League team, it's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of pride.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to get tickets to see the Iowa Cubs in action, how can they go about doing that?
Call the ticket office. Call the Iowa Cubs, and we'll get you transferred to one of our amazing sales reps.
Okay. And you have a website and a Facebook page, too.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we got all that.
Okay. Peter, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Having me on.
Peter Brooks, in charge of media relations. Don't forget to check out the video at outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com and on our Facebook page. And, of course, all these podcasts available at outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com and all the different platforms for podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and all the others. This podcast also sponsored by Jersey Freeze in Monroe, Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solution, Westside Java Coffee Bar in downtown Newton, and by Wesley Life Park Center. Get a hold of Lisa Zylstra at Wesley Life Park Center and pursue your joy at Park Center. By offering living options across the continuum, Park Center provides vital, enriching environments for everyone. A community for healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being, their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton, with many residents and team members having lived in their lives. To learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find the lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. That's 641-791-5000. Until next time, grrr, out is out. See ya.